The following podcast contains language and themes that some people may find offensive. It also contains conversations about video games and guano, which is a fancy way of saying shit. Enjoy!
Hello and welcome to That Was the Week That Was It? The podcast that asks its guests how their week was last week. And it is a great time had by all. I'm Alex Sievewright, and joining me for this episode is not Kate O'Connor, for she is unavailable at the time of this recording, which is so like her. It's Emi Webber. Hello, Emi. How are you?
Hello, I'm good.
Good.
And I'm available because I'm a professional.
That's correct. And we live in the same house. How was your week last week?
Mine?
Yeah.
Oh, it was fine.
I'm just talking in the background.
Yes, that voice you can hear there. Our guest this week is a voice actor who is probably best known for playing investigative journalist Mason Lane in the brilliant spoof podcast Cold Case Crime Cuts. You may have also heard him if you listen to certain books on Audible. He's on there as well. It's Lance Fuller. Hello, Lance.
Hi.
How are you?
Hi.
You all right?
You know what? I'm good. Do you know, and this isn't meant to be tooting my own horn, but my favorite thing is when people play, who know me, play HITMAN 2 or 3,
Yes.
and then realize that they see me or they hear me, and then they can kill me.
Yeah, it happened to me. You played two characters, and I met the first one, and then the second one straight afterwards.
Yeah,
and it was a bit like, oh God, Lance, come on.
the like, this is a little inside baseball or behind the scenes, but when you do a lot of those characters, they don't give you any heads up. They just give you a script on the day. Oh, this is what it is. So there is actually literally no time to be like, oh, let me make this different. Or I wouldn't know that one character would actually, like you saw, 30 seconds later, you would run into someone with exactly the same voice who is a different character.
Oh, it was a slightly different voice. Lance. I'll give you that.
That's because I'm super pro, bro.
I could tell it was you, though.
Yeah. I mean, that's it, which is interesting, too, in all seriousness, because, like, voices, much like our walking cadence and all that stuff, are so distinctive,
Yeah.
So, like, they often tell you, like, just be you, because your own instrument is already, like, it's so unique. And we hear, like, my rhythms from where I grew up versus where I moved, versus my accents, all that stuff. And same with you. It sounds distinctly like you. So, yeah.
Speaking of accents, I've realized I probably pronounce your name in a very horrible way. I would say Lance,
which is fine, because when people of the British persuasion who would say Lance say Lance, it sounds like it's hard for them, I think, because it sounds like it has to be more nasal than they're intending it to be.
Yeah. But Emily would also say Fuller. That's your last name, I think.
I would take
Lance Fuller.
Fuller.
So it's all over the place.
It is, but it's a good thing, isn't it? Well, that's what makes us so unique. All the different types of ways we say things, and I listen back to the episodes I've done, and there's certain times where I go, why the hell did I pronounce that word that way?
Yeah.
I've said hilarious. I tried to avoid it with your intro. I did put the hilarious spoof podcast, but every time I've put hilarious, I've always gone hilarious, and it's bugged me.
You dropped the H.
I don't know why.
That's not a regional thing for where you're from, right? To be an H dropper.
No.
It's laziness.
It is laziness. It completely is laziness. But anyway, lads, we've known each other for so many years now. We first met in 2005 at that convention, didn't we?
Yeah, we did.
Yeah.
I know. I remember. I was in the booth.
You were?
Handing out cards and brochures.
That's right.
For my new weed killing firm, right?
That's
and
correct,
you walked
yes.
up and you're just like, "Hey, I've got weeds."
I did.
And it's a good opening for me. Thank you.
It was. But I mean, I was propositioning you, but you took it the wrong way. I did actually, I was trying to push some of my wares onto you. But no, then you sold me weed killer.
Well, yeah, but like you were wanting to, you were like really wanted to get down in the dirt and roll around in the weeds, go for a tumble, as it were. And I assumed you meant tumbleweed.
Yeah.
Because I mean, my head is just always around weeds. So
yeah. Tell me
My head's always around weed.
Yeah.
Yes. It does happen. But yeah, we just sparked a friendship from there, didn't we, really? The whole, I liked weeds, you liked to kill them. We met in the middle. And I think we both learned something that day.
Well, once I actually came over to your house and realized you had no yard from which to kill plant matter, and instead we were killing plant matter inside, which was nice to see you there, Emi. So also killing plant matter.
Yeah, it's a way we pass the time.
You have to.
Sometimes in a way that elongates the sense of time, which I really enjoy.
Yes. Yes. Yeah. God, we're getting deep, aren't we? Quick. Lance, tell me, how was Monday?
Monday was fine. I'm gonna go. I know that we could go for a sort of jokey. I'm gonna go for what actually happened, which was
good.
We were away in Brighton for the weekend. Because my wife's sister, her family, husband and two young children moved down there last fall in that rush when some people left London because we have to get out of London. It was better for them for schools and everything. But, it felt like a bunch of people were like, I'm getting the fuck out of London.
Good plan.
And that's our plan.
So anyway, we went down there to babysit them for the weekend while the parents went on a walkabout of some sort for one of their birthdays. So Monday was coming back up, and with the sort of intrinsic tiredness that happens after you've taken care of children 10 and under for a weekend.
How was that?
I find it very ambivalent. It's really fun, but there are times when you're like, oh, right, I'm done for right now. And, they're not. They're done when they're done, and then they don't want to talk to you. Yeah. They'll do their own thing. But when you're done and they're not done, then, then you're still being poked or prodded.
Yeah. I mean, that's why, having children hasn't really appealed to me because, when I'm done, I'm done. I don't want to be, pushed to do anything else. That's it.
Yeah,
I would still poke and prod.
Yeah, like, you're bad enough.
I'm enough.
Yeah, she's definitely enough.
That's good. It's good to get to that place of confidence. I am enough.
Yes.
Even if it means I am enough to bother you into oblivion. But
Yep.
You're sure of yourself.
Emily, please shush. I'm working. That's one I hear.
Yes, that does happen quite a lot. Yeah.
I got a booth, and I still have to say, please shush, I'm working. I actually have an on-air light that was given to me as a joke that I put outside on the top of the booth. I turned it on once, and my wife still came in and knocked. And I was,
why's the light on, lads?
And what
are you doing?
Do you know how you ride that line between I'm joking and I'm serious? And I was like, why the fuck do I have the light?
Yeah.
Oh, you're just joking. I am joking. Am I?
Yeah. Oh man, but yeah, it's annoying when you're in the zone, but life gets enters your booth, as it were. But
yeah. I was thinking about this very recently because when I'm recording stuff at home, you kind of are being everything. You're listening to yourself, and you're trying to edit yourself, and that take should be better or whatever, and you can sort of get into it, but you're always a little bit listening to yourself. And I realized how important it was just to have someone else take the responsibility of actually listening, because listening to yourself is like, when you hear yourself and you're always going, oh, I sound terrible, or it's not good. and realizing someone else may have absolutely no problem. They may love it.
Yeah.
They may whatever, and just
You're
take the
your
burden
own
off.
worst critic, aren't you? Your own worst critic, really, when it comes to. I mean, I much prefer being in a studio and then having someone saying that's fine, or could we just go again? And that's great. But yourself, you're just constantly going, let's go again, let's go again, let's go again.
Yeah. Do you realize how much noise my mouth makes when I'm not talking?
Oh God, yes.
Do you do this?
Oh, it's actually my favorite thing to do when I'm recording friends, like if they wanted to come over and like record a reel or just record some job, and I'd be like, now let's listen to what your voice, the noises, the wet noises of your face orifice makes.
Now let's really slow it down.
It is horrifying, even though it's there all the time. But of course, once you start hearing it, or once you know it's there, then like any podcast you listen to, the professional podcasts, right? Like you listen to them and you're like, oh my God, just take a drink of water or eat an apple, whatever you do.
Completely.
Like
I've had it where I've drank like something a little bit fizzy beforehand, and I get a gurgle, and I hear it. So it's like I'm doing the intro. It's been 2 episodes that are out there. If you can find them, you see if you listen really closely, you can hear the gurgles. Where I'm just doing the intro or something, you hear and I'm so aware of it. It's horrible.
Do you know what I had just about 20 minutes ago? I had that thing. I guess we call it a bubble in your throat.
Mm-hmm.
You know, when you and it just changes the tenor of your voice.
Yeah.
I've never looked that up. What's actually happening? Is it literally a bubble?
I don't know. I'm sure there's a phrase for it, because there's like it's one of those things that your mouth does. It's like when you I think it's called fleeking as well, where you yawn and then just liquid just sprays out your mouth.
Oh yeah, that too. Yeah.
And I only found out that it's called fleeking. I'm gonna have to double check. It's called fleeking now.
That sounds familiar.
Yeah. Because I actually did Google it. So what the hell is that about? But yeah, I'll find out, Lance, and I'll let you know. Actually, well, you could just Google it yourself.
But
I have that weird thing. If I'm drinking through a straw, for some reason out the side of my mouth, like a spray of the drink comes out, and I don't know how or why, and sometimes I just have to give in, and like whoever's next to me, you're getting wet.
Alex, I'll take this one. That's actually a vestigial poison sac.
Damn.
You used to take down your prey with poison, but you don't have to do that anymore. Because, as Alex said, we're keeping too many people alive.
Yeah, but that's where the attack comes, not from the front, but from the sides.
Oh, well, okay. See, this is how conversations work, right? You've made me think of the fact that one of the things we did with the kids over the weekend is we took them to Drusilla's Park or something, somewhere in the South. It's familiar. Okay. And they had I'm sure they didn't label it as a raptor or anything like that, but they actually had an animatronic dinosaur, and it was the one that spit. And it, its head sort of bobbed from side to side, but it had water.
But
Is it so? The one that killed Nedry though was tiny. Yes. This was like bigger than me, and I was like, I don't know who to believe: Jurassic Park or Drusilla's Park.
I don't think either are accurate.
No,
I'm not even sure they existed. Those ones. I mean, I know dinosaurs did. I'm not going to go into a whole.
The frill part was made up, wasn't it?
Here we go with Alex's 6,000-year-old world theory again.
Look, all I'm saying is, right, if there's not a God...
Fair enough.
We'll edit that out.
Yeah, we will. I just remember when we were in Canada and we were at that dinosaur museum.
Oh, yes, in Drumheller.
Yes, yeah, go on, Emmy.
Or Drumheller. I think she was in front of us in the queue as well. Mm-hmm. But when we got inside, they had a little bit before you get to the main dinosaur bones about evolution, and it had examples of skulls and things, and it was showing how humans evolved. And she got really angry and about how it was pushing evolution when God put the skulls there
Right.
for
Yeah, that's the reason they were there.
God is like a
the
docent and museum curator as
Yeah.
well as a.
Yeah.
God put them in that museum.
Yeah, she's in a dinosaur. I was thinking, you're gonna love the rest of it.
I mean,
when you see these bones.
You bring up a funny example of a thing that we deal with. I don't know if this makes me so super cynical, but I'm just like, sometimes what are we going to do when your conversation or your battle for, truth is with someone who's like, but God put the skulls there.
It's so definitive, isn't it? It's so like, no. Your theory is bullshit. This is what happened.
In the face of this entire museum, still holding that. And
why are you
saying
at this
it very
museum?
loudly?
Yeah. Why does this interest you? It's just going to fly in the face of what you want to believe.
And she worked there. Now, did you get spit at by this Dilophosaurus?
Or
It was aimed.
the children.
Yes, definitely by the children. The thing actually spit away from people, which is probably by design. But I'd taken it.
Do you think that's a COVID thing?
Probably. What else? Like, I'm trying to think of. It was fairly open because it's outside, but there were like, they still had the hand. Oh no, this was another thing. Anyway, they still had the hand sanitizing stuff everywhere, which is a bit. We kind of know that that's not as big of a thing anymore. But what really got me is I read this long article about, this whole lab leak theory thing, or not lab leak in the sense of like, perhaps it was actually something they were studying and someone wasn't careful, not that it was an intentional thing. But one of the main aspects of this article was about how studying bats has been taken kind of like loosely in a lot of places where they were like, you can't get anything from bats, so that people were handling guano and stuff without gloves or whatever, like for a while. And now we're realizing that's the case. And in this park, they had a room you could go into with bats.
Yep.
And they're just hanging there, and it smelled awful. It was the worst smell I've smelled in a while, which I assume is just, this is guano. It's, that's what it smells like. But having done that earlier in the day and then later that night reading about how bats spread, diseases like COVID, and I was just in a room with a bunch of bats with no glass. Yeah. They're just there. And I thought, this feels like...
This can't be good. This is like a scene out of Outbreak.
But this is, right? This is how humanity dies.
Yeah.
Drusilla's the start.
Why do bats get a fancy name for their shit? Why is that?
Well, some other animals do too.
Do they? I can only think of guano.
All I could think of was coprophilia.
Manure?
Yeah. That was a fancy word for fancying poo.
Yes, it is. That's a very fancy word for fancying poo.
But maybe, like, I'm wondering if it's like, beef versus cow, or pork versus pig or whatever, that once it became a useful thing, it got renamed, because guano also sounds Spanish, maybe?
Yeah, you're probably right. Yeah. If it has a use, give it a name.
Yeah, I mean, like, instead of like, man, we should harvest all this bat shit.
Yeah. Yeah. Do
you want to buy some bat shit and make some bombs with it?
They went batshit crazy.
Right. Oh, yeah, there's a lot of negative associations.
Maybe
kind of, they're making fun of mental illness. That, we don't want to do that. Yeah,
no,
guano it is.
No, guano it is. Let's call it iguano.
Iguano.
Not iguano. So Monday had dinosaurs. Was there anything else of note?
Just the drive back up and trying to think. Yeah, not much. Hung out that night. My wife went off to hang out with a friend who happened to be in town. So I stayed in and got back into the game Horizon Zero Dawn.
I like that one.
Yeah, so I didn't think I liked it for a while, and I think it's because it's a bit open world. And I think when I was first getting back into gaming, I was like, you need to tell me where to go or I'm going to get bored. And now that I've played them other games for a while, I kind of get it.
Says the man who's in Hitman.
But even Hitman is like tinier sandboxes, whereas Horizon Zero Dawn is like an endlessly big world, right? Like
It's
you
huge.
finish levels in Hitman.
You do.
With objectives. And not that I was going to get into this serious discussion and debate this with you. I really wasn't going to, but here we are. Okay.
We're there. And to be fair though, Hitman is a stealth game. It markets itself that, and it does it very well. Horizon, I couldn't get into it because of the stealth sections really, really annoyed me.
It's also like you have to, like, I'm learning that you have to, there is no other option besides stealth because you just will be overwhelmed.
Yes.
And like once it starts, you can't get away. They're just like, there's too many and they're too fast. And which is interesting. It just means a very different type of engagement. Whereas Hitman is a bit more like, I'm gonna find 3 different ways to kill someone, and that's fun.
Yeah, I know. I'm a big fan of those games. Not just because you're here. You don't represent Hitman. You're just the voices of some characters.
Oh God, no!
You're just a voice.
We're in the cross line of some shooting sections. But yeah, it's I've killed you a few times, Lance. I'm sorry.
I've killed me a few times.
It's like killing a clone.
That's where we're going to go in the future. Like sex robots, we're going to have robots of ourselves that we can just beat up. Why are you so shit? Why are you so...
And then that's how the robot uprising starts.
They'll just use our own insecurities against us.
If we're going to create them to beat them up, they're not going to be happy about that after a while.
They'll
catch on.
We'll program them to like it.
Tell me, Lance, what's your favorite Hitman level of all time?
Oh, this is
it's a good question. I know because I know what my answer is. So
yeah. I haven't played the third one, although I've watched it. So I think I'm probably slightly biased towards the racetrack level.
It's a good one.
But that's also because of my involvement in it.
Mm-hmm.
As in, I was Florida Man in that, which I loved being because he's such a weirdo.
Yeah.
And there was also a portion where I had this was one of those interesting things. In the first game, I was actually allowed to improvise lines, and they loved it because they were like, here's what we need, but play with it because sometimes it's better. And for the later ones, it just I think they just had to keep more on a schedule and stuff. So I just had to do the lines, which meant that I didn't get to I improvised this line what are you, 2 pearls short of a necklace, and it's goofy, but they left it in because it was we never would have wrote that. What does that mean?
Yeah.
And so there was stuff like that. I think it was in that level, So I think that's probably my favorite.
That's fair enough.
What's yours?
That racetrack one is very, very good, but I'm going to go for the one in, I think it's Blood Money, which is set in the Opera House. Because I don't know if you know that one, but if you can see it on YouTube, there's so many different ways to do it, but it's so satisfying.
This reminds me, one of my favorite aspects of getting to do that was I've kind of befriended one of the writers, and so we've actually we've never spoken. We've only written back and forth basically on Twitter DMs, but you're talking about how they have to writing a game like that because you have to write all these branching sort of stories and things that make sense when they come back around, and also because you don't play it straight. You can do one thing first and then another thing, and it's sometimes it changes the dialogue, and that they're doing stories that exist over multiple scenarios as well that sort of can tie in together, and it's really interesting. He's really proud of it, and it's obviously really it's not shit. Some dialogue, one of the things I didn't like about Horizon Zero Dawn is some of the dialogue is utter crap. It's just And there was another game I had played, I can't remember what it was, and it was the character was literally oh, I'm picking up this leaf. Shut up. I just did it. I just did that. You don't need to tell me what you just did.
Yeah.
What's the point of the dialogue? But like, Hitman's funny, and it's, and it's got like actual story. And even though the Hitman himself is not very emotive, like there's stuff that happens, right? And there's like people reacting and having bad days and stuff.
Yeah. No, it's a lot of fun. I do love it. So moving on, Tuesday. How was that?
I looked at my calendar before we started, and Tuesday is a big old blank. And so I'm trying to remember if that was maybe the day that I found out about the one voice thing.
Do tell. Shall we say it was?
We should. I'm trying to figure out. I'm gonna see when I tweeted that. It might have been Wednesday, in which case. Oh no, it was Tuesday.
Oh, there we go.
Yay.
Perfect.
Yeah. Yeah. So I have been shortlisted for an award for there's this thing called the One Voice Conference, which is they hold in London, and they have one in the US as well, which is just it's a voiceover industry conference meeting awards ceremony. And so I was shortlisted for best factual audiobook performance.
Nice. And what was that for?
There's a book called Bad News by Rob Brotherton, and it was sort of talking about some of fake news and things, but it started with the example of Orson Welles and War of the Worlds, and these examples of places where people have used that, not necessarily for ill effect or terrible politics, but towards using the format that we take as truth and twisting it.
Nice. Okay, well that's very exciting, isn't it?
It's cool.
Mm-hmm.
Getting shortlisted. Yeah. Let's fingers crossed for you.
Thank you very much.
I mean, when do you find out? By the time this is probably out, you might have.
Maybe
out,
the actual awards. I mean, like I wouldn't find out until the awards ceremony night, which I think is the 21st. So, I mean, I don't think they would let me know ahead of time because I'd actually been shortlisted a couple of years ago for the Hitman stuff, and I didn't know until the night, and I didn't win. So,
it's very exciting. Well, fingers crossed for you. Are you up against anyone like impressive? I mean, not impressive.
Good.
That sounded wrong. That sounded wrong. Are you up against anyone that might beat you? Are you up against anyone of note?
I'm up against a bunch of people who might beat me, I think. It's a very physically violent world, the voiceover world.
Tell me about it. I mean, I'm just on the outskirts of it. I dip my toe in every now and again. And yeah, it's incredibly
Violent.
Yeah, incredibly
super violent. Like that's why people stay in their booths, because when they see each other, it's there's like an instinctual like bobcats going for each other's throats. Territorial.
Yeah.
It's very deadly.
It's weird. It's weird.
To answer your question, no, I don't know any of the other names, and I think that this is the funny thing about the super niche world of voiceover, which is you basically don't nobody knows anyone.
No one knows.
The public doesn't know who someone is,
No.
and you don't know who other people are.
You just
Are the awards real? Like, why have them?
Like it's a good question. It's hard to not go there and go like, this is, who this is important for? Everyone in this room. and you know who it's not important for? And
everyone in this room doesn't know who each other is.
Right? There's an agency that I've been working with, and I'd actually spoken to the head of this agency a couple of times on the phone, and I've worked with them several times, and I went up and said hi to her at the awards, and she was quite drunk, but she was also like, I'm sorry, who are you? I was like,
you just went,
I'm like,
Lance Fuller.
Right?
Just do the voice
you can't even
properly.
do that because they're just like, they haven't listened to your voice. They're just
they just get you the jobs. That's it.
Yeah, right.
I mean, you're the second voice actor we've had on in. I mean, actually, you're the second in a row, because we had Lewis McLeod on last episode.
Oh yeah,
who is a voice actor as well. He was in a booth. So it's a very interesting career to have.
Voice
isn't it,
actors
really?
live in booths.
They do.
Yeah.
They just live
Yeah.
in booths. Yeah.
Well, it's a way to keep their unfettered rage contained.
You can just
it's
yell
a
really
well,
loudly, and it's like no one will hear.
and it's one of those super funny careers because like or jobs, I wouldn't even call it a career because it's I feel like it's just part of something, right? Like it is not my main thing, and there are people who do it mainly, right, and like only that, and I'm like, I don't know if I could like sit all day in the booth doing audition. I mean, maybe I could. I guess I've done it at various periods.
I could definitely do that.
Yeah. I mean,
as long as I'm not having to edit it or think about it or listen back to my voice.
It made me think about how some people suggest not using headphones when you're recording.
Yeah.
And I thought, actually, that might be a good point because like after a while you are just listening to your own voice. And it is like it's preening, like it's not meant to be, but it's preening to some degree. It's like doing everything into a mirror. Oh yeah, I can hear that. Yeah. What about if I get really close to the mic?
Yeah.
Hold on, I'm gonna proximity affect you, Alex.
Oh.
Right? Did I vibrate your eardrums?
Oh yeah.
Emi, how's that feeling? You're in a different room. How's that feel?
Very close.
Great.
Yeah.
Too close, right? Like it's creepy. I get it. I'll back up.
But it's nice in a strange way. It's like an ASMR.
Which that was a way of repurposing mouth clicks into something sexy.
It would for me. I enjoyed it. I'm going to enjoy editing this as well. Just to
shut up. I'm going to cut your hair. Okay. Just lay back. I'm going to cut your hair. Okay. I'm running my fingers through your hair right now. And it's odd, like because I am also someone who like I haven't listened to it in a while, but I remember going, oh God, oh wow, oh that's actually making my head tingle.
Yeah.
Well done.
Alex likes the ASMR stuff. I don't like it.
There's some I really quite liked. There's some that just overstep the boundary.
I don't like it because of that whole.
Yeah.
Some women masticating in your ear.
And
if you're gonna do that, you should pay a proper professional to masticate in your ear.
Yes, you should. Yes, you should. The ear eating ones are just the worst because they have like the microphones that look like ears, and they get their tongue right in there, and it does feel like their tongue is right in your ear, and you're like, no. It's a trigger, but it's wrong.
Well, because there's a line, right, and there's a like ASMR can be erotic, maybe sexual in some cases, like that sort of feeling, but it also is like there's a distance to it, and the moment like there was actual wetness or a tongue like in the ear, like you've crossed the line,
or a burp.
It's odd.
Violated.
Yeah, absolutely. So
orally violated.
No one wants that.
Spell the orally you meant.
AU.
Yes, okay, I thought so.
Good, we got there. Yeah.
AL.
Just so we weren't being orally violated. Well, we're being orally violated by being orally violated.
I don't want that in my ear.
They just.
I just said God hates homophones.
Right, it's that time again for the thing I wish that I never started, if I'm honest with you. This feature's intro music was produced after the recording of this podcast. So let's get into it.
The first thing that came to mind for me, knowing that we were going to have to deal with this, is Hawaiian hip hop.
Yes, yeah, that was there, wasn't it?
Yep.
Mm.
I remembered that you had a brief tiki phase. You had those ill-conceived
You say brief. It was about 6 years.
things, that look like little, what are those heads, like Easter Island heads?
Yes.
And I'm glad you took those out because, I mean, I think we're at a point now where that's a weird cultural appropriation. But you were very good.
I
at Hawaiian hip-hop.
got through it. It was,
Yeah.
some people just like Hawaiian shirts. I like to go the full tiki.
Yeah.
And every person I meet gets a floral thing over their heads.
Yeah.
Yeah. But
And I'm glad that they're now made of flowers instead of
the other things.
Well, I mean, like the skin of
the skin of my victims,
salmon skin that you wouldn't eat.
I mean, my salmon, yes, not my victims. But you call.
I like to put the skin of my victims on my other victims. I'm a recycling.
It's like a vicious circle. But yeah, I put all that behind me now.
I'm glad you moved on.
Yeah, I got into podcasting instead. So. But I'm glad you liked the tiki sort of vibe I had going on in that.
Yeah.
Was there anything else that you liked?
Baby goats.
The baby goats. Yeah.
Yeah.
You caught them.
It was a very like Brian Wilson inspired sort of Pet Sounds thing. I saw where you were coming from.
Oh, good.
I wasn't always sure it worked, but that's the thing. Like Emmy liked it. I was a bit, I
On
thought
the
maybe it was a
fence.
bit derivative.
Give
but,
it a few more listens and you'll get it.
Oh, maybe it's like goat ASMR. Bah! Oh,
I did go for a spatial goat sound. It's like the goat was in your ears, definitely.
Space goats.
Space goats.
Space
That's
goats.
exactly what it was.
Coast to coast.
Yeah. Was there anything you didn't like?
That plopping, the plopping sound. I can't tell what that was.
You couldn't.
I
No.
felt like you left in some of the studio noises, which is interesting. It gives a sense of place. But I think the fact that you actually recorded on a farm,
Yes.
maybe
With
maybe there
plops.
was something you could have edited a little bit.
Well, it adds to the atmos. I like to have that sort of, Hawaiian farm vibe, the tiki tractor, going back and forth. You go on.
Was like all the people who were shouting "hey" at each other. Was that on purpose?
No,
So
no, it wasn't.
throughout, like the hey,
Yeah.
hey,
No,
hey.
that was literally some people just trying to get my attention.
Okay.
Because I was recording where I shouldn't have been.
You mean in a barn? And they
In the
were
farm?
like,
Yeah, in a
like,
farm. Yeah,
yeah, don't sit on the hay.
yeah,
The
literally
cows have to
that.
eat hay.
Literally that. Yeah, it was
Yeah.
literally that. Anything else to add?
I did appreciate that you had used the sort of stampeding noises as your initial like beat structure.
Yep.
Like I don't even know what the animals were, but you could tell it was hooves on a
There
sort
was
of hard pack.
Many
was a
hooves.
Could have been
nice-
chickens.
Yeah.
Hooves and feathered feet. Not feathered feet. What they got?
Yeah.
What,
you know,
chickens?
Yeah, it's just feet, isn't it?
There's a tangent. And tell me if this happened during the recording, but another thing at that animal farm we went to over the weekend is I was watching chickens for a little while because it was sort of fascinating. And you know how they scratch and then, like pick up bugs or whatever they're going to eat? It occurred to me that what I was watching is like they're scratching and then they just shove their head down there, I think because they can't see otherwise. So that's like they're scratching and going, is there anything down there? Like their head goes down, they back up, their head goes down to where they scratched, then they back up and they scratch again. I was like, this is the most fucking inefficient form of eating. No wonder chickens haven't taken over.
Can you imagine if we did that? Just every time we like sliced a bit of meat, we had to put a head to it and go, did that cut?
Is that what I wanted?
Is that what I wanted? Is that it?
Okay.
Yeah. Is that it?
God.
But I imagine if you had bad eyesight, that's probably what you do anyway, isn't it?
See, like to me, it doesn't make any sense that chickens killed the dinosaurs and took over. Like, how could they? They just don't seem smart enough. And
I don't
wily
get
enough.
it. And yet,
Well, they didn't. God put the chickens there.
Oh, God intervened.
He put the chickens there.
Like capitalism.
Yeah.
God just kind of went in, the invisible hand went in and moved market forces to get rid of dinosaurs.
And then buried the dinosaurs, and then made the chickens.
You've had your time. Chickens.
And then
chickens are the future.
And then he invented man. I should get him on here, really, shouldn't I? Just ask him how his week was. Wouldn't that be a great guest to have God on?
What did you? He hasn't done anything since that first week. That was enough. Didn't need to do anything else.
Just for the sake of off the top of your head, whose voice sounds the most like God of people you could?
I mean, because whenever I have a Santa voice that sounds like a cross between Brian Blessed doing something else.
You do? So, I want to hear it.
Yeah. He just talks like that all the time. Hello, I'm Father Christmas.
Oh, good God, Alex, what is this claptrap?
What would you like for Christmas, little boy? And I imagine that's what Father God.
Father God.
Christmas episode. I'm getting God on. Right. So, thank you so much for the input on that. I really am pleased that you enjoyed that music, and let's get it to number 1 on the hit parade, shall we?
Hey man, you got to experiment, right? I support that.
Good.
You got to
I
try.
do it for every episode. I have a little experiment. it's good fun. So Lance, or Lance.
Yes, sir.
Or
Lance.
Say it, Lance.
Lance.
See how weird it
Lance.
sounds? If it's not the way you say it, it sounds weird.
Lance. I mean, I say Lance naturally because I'm slightly northern.
That's true.
So
and you
Lance.
just don't make it as nasal as I do because,
Lance.
Yeah.
No. Lance.
Oh, you
Lance.
can imagine when I get my wife to say that to me. Oh, Lance. Oh God, just
Lancey. Wednesday, how was that for you?
Wednesday's fun. For God, I don't know, 6, 8, 9, 12 months or something. I've been doing a weekly play reading that I was invited into by a Canadian friend who I think they needed somebody for once, but once you do it once, then you're part of the group, and it is absolutely for fun. But it is such an interesting. It's like I immediately felt self-conscious because most of the people there are like, if not British theater royalty, people who have been doing it for as long as I've been alive, and sometimes children of other famous people or some. I don't know them, so I can't be like, oh my God, they're so famous. But they're the kind of like, instead of your Ian McKellens, this next level down who have been doing it forever. And have like, and every time we do a play, they're like, oh yes, I did that in '69, and blah, 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 I've been doing this, blah, blah, blah. And so like. And I can go and look and see, oh my God, you were doing this with the RSC and blah, blah, blah. And so, and they're fine, right? They're all normal people, but sometimes we'll do stuff and it will be set in the UK. So I'll just put on my best old British accent. No, I won't do that. and then sometimes we'll do American plays, right? And then I get to feel a bit self-righteous.
Perfect.
But it is fascinating because I feel like I'm learning. I'm doing a lot of plays reading a lot of plays that I've never even heard of. We've done stuff from like 18th century. We'll do old stuff and just it doesn't sometimes make much sense. It's not that interesting because the jokes are obviously 200-300 years out of date.
Bit dated.
But it's interesting. And also I feel like normally I'm obviously quite chatty. But I get in there and I just I don't know when to interject because they're often sharing stories about life on the stage or some interpretation. Yeah. Remember when they did this version of it? Oh, she was awful in it. Blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, I have no idea who that is. I don't know what this play is. I don't know. And therefore, also, I feel like my interjected jokes often don't land particularly. Like it's not the right audience. And it isn't that they're stuffy. It's just, that's not what they're laughing at.
It went over their head. That's the shame.
Yeah.
I mean, how many people are we talking here in the group?
I think we've had up to probably 17, 18 at a time. We'll do big casts,
Okay.
and now that it's sort of opened up a bit more and some people are doing some more work, we've been down to maybe 8 at times. And I'm just like, I'm glad to have this sort of consistent thing every week. Even if I feel sometimes self-conscious, I'm glad to be there and be a part of it. And I think my self-consciousness is entirely me. It's not, nobody's doing anything.
Yeah. No, that sounds great. I mean, I know what you mean about that kind of, it's not, it's almost a case of, I feel like I shouldn't be here doing this because this all
Maybe,
seems,
yeah.
I've had that many times. There was I mean, I still get it now. I mean, you know, doing this, I feel like I don't feel like I should be doing this.
Yeah.
Really. But, you know, I can't believe what I'm doing, and it's sometimes you just have to just pretend, just fake it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Just fake it, Lance. I mean, it's when you start, you know, getting intimidated by these people that have been doing it for years and years and years. I don't mean to put this thought in your head, but they've been doing it for years, Lance.
Yeah, I know.
Years.
No,
years.
and some of them are the children of people who had done it their entire lives. So they're just like, it's just in their blood. And I feel like such a newbie. I feel like a Yankee.
Well, I mean, you are, aren't you?
That's what I mean. Yeah. But
don't feel bad. Don't feel bad. I mean, because you're suited to the American plays, like you say. And I imagine some of the accents that they fire off at you are just like laughable.
Oh, it's funny because just like I basically have one that I can sort of do an RP. I can't do anything else. Don't ever ask me to try any other regional variation. Even though, you know, I lived in Glasgow. Well, I mean, nobody's going to do that justice. And my wife is a mix of northern, southern, Scottish, and all that stuff. So, I can't hear accents anymore. Like if someone says to me, "Oh, do like a British accent." Oh, what? Which one? Do an English accent. Which one? Yeah, like I cannot land on what I think.
I mean,
an accent.
It works both ways. It worked both ways. I mean, when we did cold case crime cuts, I was amazed by how many accents I couldn't do. When I was convinced, I was like, "Yeah, sure, I can do American accents, absolutely." And no, turns out I can't.
Well, it's something that's so like you have your entire life when you're raised in your country's various accents, and you get them through knowing people, watching all, you know, TV, listening to music, all that media and stuff, and I get that people here have seen you know, a huge amount of American media listened to, right? But it's different than growing up amongst it. And it is the funny thing that when we do an American play, I now can recognize the British actors, like their stock American accent, and I'm just going, I don't, you know, like I don't know where that's from, which is fine.
You can't place that, but it works. It's the same when like American who's not skilled does a British accent. It's always like, "Hello, love," and it's exactly because you go, I don't know where that voice is supposed to be at all. I don't know where that's placed. Maybe it's Cockney. I'm not sure.
It is a photocopy of a photocopy of Dick Van Dyke.
Yes, it is. Murray Parpens.
Because if you listen to anything modern, right, you would never I can go to the East End of London and I can't hear anyone who ever sounds that way. And you barely hear that anyway, right? There's that sort of general London accent that's become a thing now. I mean, it's still, that's too general a way to describe it. But, you know, like there's a London accent and it's kind of a youth accent now.
Yeah.
But I don't even know exactly how to describe it. But it's such a mix of all the types that have come in. And
although when I go to America, I go very posh because my regular accent, I mumble and merge words together, and they seem to have trouble either hearing it or they're focusing so much on my accent, they're not listening to what I'm saying.
Sure.
So I go super posh in order just to enunciate and be clear with what I'm saying.
Right.
And one of my favorite moments was when we were going to. Did we tell this story before? I can't remember, Alex.
I don't think so.
When we went to a bear sanctuary. I love bears, and we went to a bear sanctuary, and we had this hire car that had Texas plates, and we're in South Dakota, and Alex and I are wearing cowboy hats, like authentic hats. And we're listening to our station of choice for this entire holiday was Bluegrass Junction. A digital radio station. Just discovered
Excellent
that
choice.
that was it. And so we're waiting in the queue in the car to go into the like it's like a safari. You drive through it, and when we pulled up to the booth, the ticket booth, the lady sees us in our hats and the Texas plates and is like, "Y'all from Texas?" And I'm like, "Actually, no, we're from London." And her face, she was not expecting that. Like,
No.
2 tickets, please.
She put her gun away, right?
Yeah. Yeah. We saw the shotgun go down. Like,
but I just thought you probably don't. Okay, you don't know how to use it. That's fine.
no, we don't know how to use guns.
How was Thursday, Lance? It's such a difficult word to say now.
How was Thursday? Thursday's today. Thursday. This is weird. You asked me that, and I suddenly have forgotten everything that I did today.
Wait until he asks you what you did on Friday.
Yeah, you have to make something up.
So, no, I mean, like today, Thursday was a very normal day. Like yesterday, I had to do a self-tape for a TV show, and then the play reading, and then other domestic stuff. And then today was just much more domestic, took care of stuff at home, went for a nice run, and then was in the booth a good portion of the day, just trying to I'm working
get your
on
rage out.
Yeah, trying to find a robot I can beat up. Because I want to promote, I want to ride a little bit on the shortlist thing. So I'm trying to figure out how to, turn that into something else. Because you know what, you can get those awards, or you can get the shortlist, and you could tell a bunch of people about it, and they could all be like, "That's great." Silence, and get nothing from it. So I'm just going to try and use that. So that's, I think, what I was doing today was actually reading. Looking for places to send stuff and
trying to get a booking at the Ivy and just ride out.
What's the Ivy?
Some freebies.
What's the Ivy? Did you just say, Lance?
Yeah. Am I missing something?
It's a really posh restaurant that celebrities go to.
That somebody referenced that this weekend, and I realized now that I didn't know what they were talking about.
They've probably all been there in your play group. They've all been.
And they'll be like, "Would you come to our restaurant and read from a factual book?" Yes, I'd be glad to.
The Bible? Anyway.
I said a factual book.
Damn it.
Not one in which they have color-in drawings of dinosaur heads.
But you say you went for a run.
Yeah.
How far did you run?
Today was about 5 miles.
Wow.
This is one of those things where years ago, I've had several people remind me that I had said I would never be a runner, and I don't get how people do it, and my knees are crap, blah, blah, blah. And in that time, since 12, 13 years ago, whenever I first said that and somebody was reminding me of it, I've run a lot. I've completed one marathon and done various things. So now I just actually running is a very several times a week.
Yeah. So you obviously enjoy it then.
Yeah, I mean it's sometimes not.
Be a bugger if he didn't. I hate it. Absolutely hate it.
I know. You know what? I do like it. It doesn't. That doesn't mean that during the time I'm not going, "Oh God, I'm tired." Or just hitting some wall. But it's a great time for podcasts, and I've discovered in this is connected to something else someone told me about, like a fringe show they saw that was about running, that one of the things she said, this was this marathon runner who was doing her show, was saying that you should, eat something or have something like these glucose tablets or whatever, because about 20 minutes in, you may have burned off your sort of first round of that. And that when you're going, oh God, I don't want to go anymore. Blah, 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 I'm just this suck. It isn't that you're actually super tired. It's that you've burned off like the sugar, and that if you have more sugar, suddenly your attitude improves and you're like, oh, I'm fine. And I have, whether or not this is a placebo, I have found that to be the case. Like I have these little like pills or chewable tablets that are just glucose. And then, you're going, oh, I don't know if I want to keep doing this. And you eat one and 5 minutes later, you're like, oh, I'm fine. Yeah, that's cool. Teach me about modern monetary theory, you wonderful podcaster, you, or whatever weird crap I'm listening to.
Well, thank God you were listening to that one. That's all I can say. And not.
God, it just makes you want to run hard.
Yeah, I mean, if you listen to my podcast while you were running, you probably would have given up way before then.
What with those dulcet tones?
Already violated.
Already.
Wait,
Violated.
let me just pretend this is your ear.
Should we pretend it's my ear?
Well, I don't know if your ear has the same sort of mesh pattern in it.
It does.
It does, yeah. How'd it taste?
It's a bit metallic, but that could be me. I could be having a stroke.
So normally with this podcast, this is going to be interesting. Normally I ask you about how your week was last week.
Yeah.
You've gone for this week. So tell me about Friday, Lance.
As in tomorrow.
Yes. Tell me about the future. What did you do tomorrow?
In the future.
The same thing we do every night, Pinky. No, tomorrow night, I get to do something that I haven't done for a couple of weeks, which is go out to the back communal garden and have a couple of beers with the lads in the building. And,
wow.
And the fun thing about this is that, we live in a small block of flats. There's like 8 of them on our side or whatever. So not a huge place, but you can go for a long time living in a place, not know your neighbors, and therefore attribute all sorts of horrible stuff to them. Like, oh, they're doing this, or somebody's leaving that. And then at one point, and this started happening a few years ago, but like we met one set of neighbors, lovely people. And then after a while, met another set. And then I think over the course of the pandemic, we just like things like seeing people and or setting up WhatsApp groups, and everybody's human, of course. And my wife and one of the neighbors had been meeting out back to have a drink. And then one of the other guys was like, well, we should do that. And so we started doing that. We did that for a couple of weeks. And then a couple of the other guys just came down because I think they were like, are men hanging out? Yeah. I would like to hang out with men. And
you see them peeking around the door of their beers, like, come on.
It's this thing. And they just came out at one point, and then it became a regular thing that they just started coming out. And then we went out to the pub when we could do that, just to and we haven't been back since, but it was fun to have that experience. But it's great. It also makes me think of, this is another one of those tangents about, because what it makes me think of is whenever my wife has me come along to meet up with one of her work friends, we go somewhere for like a dinner party or something. And I've heard this on a couple of occasions where the woman will have said to my wife later, oh, it seems like my husband and your husband got along really well. It'd be so great if they could just hang out. And I was like, men have so much trouble making friends, don't they?
Oh yeah.
And so wives everywhere are going, oh God, I wish he had friends, more friends, because I can't emotionally support him all the time.
It reminds me of when when we met up for a chat, Lance.
Yeah,
and we had a really good talk. Yeah, Houston Tap, and you said to me, we should do this again sometime, and that was what, 3 years ago.
Maybe more. Yeah,
maybe more. Yeah. Maybe more. But we never got round to having another drink.
I mean, I find that 95% of men I know are shit about it. When you're like, literally, let's hang out. Or when you like later on go, hey, do you want to hang out? Yeah. And then it just doesn't, it doesn't
come to
solidify.
anything.
Right.
No.
And I think that all of that was a roundabout way of saying that I think these guys were like, there is something going on in our backyard that I can just go down and do.
Wow.
And it was great, right? Like plus the thing that I actually really enjoy about it, and this is a very London or kind of world city thing, is not a one of us is English, which doesn't matter, except that it's fascinating. One of them is Latvian, one of them is Italian, one of them is Scottish, and I'm American, which means that, you know, we all bring our different perspectives, and it's all totally normal. It's fun.
It sounds great.
Yeah,
it really does sound great.
Say you're jealous. Do you want to come? You want to come over, don't you?
I don't think I'd fit in.
Oh, because you're English. Yeah, I get it.
Yeah, and also I don't drink.
Oh, you don't? Oh, sorry. Yeah, no. You. What did you have when we were at the Euston Tab? Did you have a soda? I didn't remember.
Water. No, I can't remember what I had actually. I made because me not drinking. So I sound like a caveman.
Me
there.
not drinking.
Me not drinking. Mouth not work.
Me no like fluids. No, it's more. I think it's kind of an organically recent thing in the last few years that I've stopped drinking. Full stop. But I do occasionally have the odd drinks when the mood takes me, or I'll do something. But I generally prefer a soft drink, or just something that's going to quench my thirst more than a beer, because I don't really like the taste of alcohol that much. So that's probably the reason why I don't do it. So I may have had a lager or something equivalent when I met with you.
Shandy
I can't
top.
remember. I'd never have a shandy top. That's just a pointless exercise. What's the point of that?
Is it a lager top? And then it's a lager top and then a shandy. Okay, yeah.
What's the point? What is the point of
water down my beer with
beer?
lemonade or whatever?
Mm.
Yeah.
Stupid.
But it is a funny thing too, because it's obviously alcohol is so ingrained, especially in our cultures, and yet it is perhaps the worst choice of the thing that we could have made legal for people to have around each other.
Oh, completely, completely.
And in the sense of like, I probably enjoy it. I mean, I do enjoy it. I'm a big fan of beer as it's a tasty thing. It's something I really enjoy, but its after effects, and sometimes its effects on the night, are worse than many other things.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And you got to be very careful with the beer. Well, in my experience, of the beer you choose as well. If you choose a nice one that is good, it's going to generally be okay. But if there's like a period around Christmas time when you get the little German beers, the little stubby bottles.
I think those are digestives, actually.
Yeah, fun size Stellas, I call them. They are just. I remember having one, and I had a headache pretty much instantly as soon as I started drinking it, and I was thinking, well, this can't pan out well.
No.
So I think is that risk involved as well. I don't like, and I think that's probably the reason why I stopped. Stop drinking as much alcohol as I did. That's probably the reason. Yeah,
and you know what? And in a way, I sort of feel for people who because it's a very it's a good choice, to be like, I'm just not going to. But there is a ridiculous amount of pressure for it to be a thing to do. And I have that sort of shame of being 21 or being around someone when they were turning 21 and just being like, yeah, you gotta blah blah, and they're like, I don't really. And I remember a friend being like, I don't really want to. I don't want to get sick tonight. And just going, where the hell is that coming from? Basically, I did, so you must.
There is a slight stigma as well. I do feel it now. Well, not so much in the last year because I haven't really been to a pub, but when you go to a pub with people where the drink culture with them is like, oh, get a beer in, and you go, oh, just a Coke for me, and it becomes very sort of another round? And you go, yeah, another round. You go, Coke, yeah. And you go, yeah. And they don't say to the others, beer again, yeah, beer or something else. And they always have to throw up Coke. And you're like, yeah, Coke. Just give me a fucking Coke, please. Please.
Do you want me to smoke some crack or what? I just don't want a beer. Like,
I mean, you guys are getting drunk, but I'm getting, high as fuck on the sugar. So yeah, just...
This is basically like angel dust at this point. I'm going to rip the arms
completely.
off a cop and.
Yeah, completely. But I'm not like a judgy person. I don't, if someone wants to have a night out with lager, that's absolutely fine. I don't mind. I'm not gonna be like.
Is this a message for me? Are you,
Emmy? You haven't got drunk in years.
Yeah.
But when you did, my God,
it's a nightmare.
It was incredible. Like 2:00 in the morning, and you burst in the room doing show tunes or whatever.
Yep, with McDonald's there or something. I'll bring a treat.
Oh, this is an image. Bursting into the room with the McDonald's and singing show tunes.
Singing.
Yes.
Yeah. And ninja moves.
Oh yeah, I turned into a ninja.
Yeah.
You're the whole package.
She hasn't done it any.
And then the 2-day hangovers, and I don't drink so much when they came along.
Well, it is. It's the hangovers. It's like
I hate
it. It's basically saying, why the fuck did you do that? I liked it for 4 hours.
They seem to get worse as you get older as well. I've noticed. And another reason to stop. I mean, when I had the vaccine, the first dose. I got quite ill with it, and the way I would describe it is that hangover. It was weird. I was like, I haven't felt like this in quite some time.
It's an unearned hangover feeling. Like if I was out drinking, then fine, I deserve that. But when I haven't been drinking and I've got the feeling of hangover, that's not on.
Yeah, fuck you, COVID.
Yeah.
I want to ask you a slightly divergent question on musicals because I used to do them, but. I was never like, okay, so great. I was never like I was probably one of the mid-tier singers in casts that were usually people who are like, musical theater study people. So whatever, like never a huge thing, but like they were fun for a while, but I sort of moved out of it. Very recently, I had seen, do you know the term chuggy? Have you seen this as an internet thing?
No.
It's one of these, and I think it's CHEUGY.
Right.
And it's one of the terms like, I don't know, on fleek, or one of those things that went around and everyone's like, what the hell does that mean? You just have to know.
Yeah.
Chuggy is basically like, it's almost like Ugg boots. It's super basic. The perfect example is people who would put like live, laugh, love on their wall.
Okay.
Right.
That's chuggy. Right. And it's like, it's sort of like, you can't really hate it because it's people, people intending well, but it's also like, And very recently I'd seen an article that said that Lin-Manuel Miranda has now become chuggy.
Oh.
And I thought, that's so odd because a few years ago he would have been considered very edgy. But I think now that he's showing up in like Mary Poppins and stuff.
Can't win.
Isn't that funny? I was like, I don't care, but it's funny to see how brutal like culture can be.
It turned on him when he got popular.
Right.
It's not. That's not even like cancelled, is it? That's just like a term that's come out of nowhere.
Yeah. And
if someone called me chuggy, I wouldn't know whether to say thanks or what. Yeah, I'd just do that. Yeah.
Yeah.
What was that?
Yeah, it was from Star Trek. So, what are the plans for the weekend, Lance?
The plans for the weekend were
going to see Hamilton.
I'm gonna watch that again. No, we'll watch In the Heights.
Yes,
that's still edgy, I think, and culturally relevant. Possibly still going to see if we can make this happen. Go for a long bike ride with a friend who's a biking fanatic or whatever. And I like to bike a lot too. So that may happen, but he's in Bristol and I'm here, so we're still trying to figure out where we can meet
Well, you
up.
just cycle and meet halfway.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, that wouldn't take super long.
No.
Be fine.
It wouldn't take like weeks.
And then on Sunday, I can experience the massive disappointment that is American Independence Day in the UK.
Yeah.
It is.
That's
it is
right. Yes,
every
that's
year.
right.
I've had Americans ask me what we do for Independence Day. Like, we don't have one. We lost.
We watch Independence Day.
Yeah, which is actually a perfectly valid way because Bill, what's his name? Not Paxton, Pullman.
Yeah, Pullman, the other one.
Is delightful.
He is.
and then there's the Jeff Goldblums and all that stuff. You know, like there's a lot of good stuff.
And Randy Quaid.
And Randy Quaid, national treasure. And Will Smith, just Will Smith in it, you know?
Yeah.
But it's the thing that has always gotten me about that is that you realize that holidays they're so culturally contextual. And so when nobody is doing any build up to perhaps your biggest national holiday with like, you know, bunting, which we don't call it bunting. I don't know what we call it, but like streamers and stuff with shit everywhere with American flags and stuff. When none of that is around. And then you're like, in fact, when you asked me what I was doing this weekend and I looked at the calendar, I was like, oh yeah, 4th of July.
Not doing fireworks.
Yeah, not doing anything.
No.
You know, let alone the fact that you know, it's always got that sort of like problematic aspects of your history, of, you know, American history, and that you start to look at that more when you live outside of it.
Yeah.
Because you're not so wrapped up in it to be like, oh, I can't look at that.
That's the stuff we see from the outside.
Right. Yeah. So that... Wow, I don't even know there was something else I was going to do on Sunday. Oh, I might get an avocado delivery.
Oh,
right?
Happy Independence Day.
Right?
Avocado.
I mean, I will understand if you're a little turned on right now.
I am immensely turned on.
You got to say avocado a bit close to the mic.
Avocado.
I was going to fake my enjoyment, but I didn't have to.
He's going to have that on
I
repeat when he's editing.
understand. If your trousers are feeling a bit tight at the moment, it's because
Why
I'm
have
gonna
you
order avocado?
Get this man the avocado advertising gig, if there is one. Do they advertise on TV? I don't even think they do they?
They don't need to.
No, they don't. No.
It's word of middle class mouth.
Yes, and they all say it like that. They all go, avocado. They all do it like that.
And avocado is like, it's that funny example of like of how super middle class a thing can be, which is, I like shopping at Waitrose. Do you know why? Because I go in there and it just feels nice.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and like the people working there are just like, you know, they're helpful and they'll at least try and do something. And whereas, you know, you'll go into Tesco and someone doesn't give a shit.
Yeah.
Or is looking at you like you've stolen something, or it's that weird thing. And I know it's so middle class, but it was like shopping at Whole Foods in the US. Why do I shop here? Because I feel like I've gone into a gated community and I belong here.
I
feel like I belong here.
I haven't been to a Whole Foods yet.
Oh my God. If you didn't know I was white, I do.
Yeah, when we go to America, it's just Target and Walmart, isn't it, really?
Walmart. Yeah.
I mean, Walmart, I think, has a lot of cultural, like, it's very loaded. I mean, especially for us because of it being like the people who own it are mega billionaires and their workers, you know, probably don't get it. You know, it's a mixed thing. But Target, I think most people love Target.
Okay.
Like, it strikes the balance. It's not super posh, but they have nice stuff and it's a nice experience.
Is Target like Sainsbury's?
Probably, yeah. I think of it as like just below John Lewis.
Okay.
You know, like John Lewis is a nice place, but that it's a bit posher. Target's a little bit more. Do you say plebeian or plebeian?
I would say neither.
Okay. Plebeiathan.
Yeah, that's what I'd say. Plebeian.
I don't even know what I would say.
Plebeian.
It's not a word I've used.
That's not a word either.
Labia.
No, Labian. Target is very Labian.
It's like a labia target. Oh. Is that a slight calamity?
Careful there. God, we got Ocado and labial target going on, and you're just
labial targeting.
Alex is losing his mind.
Say Ocado again. No, it's.
I don't want to follow this labial targeting thing. I want to know what we're talking about. Is it like a wax treatment? Or
there's a place I've heard about recently. I don't know if it's only in certain parts of America. Wegmans?
Oh, it is. That's a regional one. I want to say it's like a grocery store.
Yeah. Apparently that's quite posh.
Maybe. I'm sure I've been in one, but I don't remember where they are.
You went in one and they went, "Excuse me, sir, please leave."
Yeah, right.
This is not for you.
Wait. Allow me to speak. Once you hear my accent, I shall be allowed inside.
Where are you from?
Texas. A small portion of Texas.
Portion. You get that from a chip shop. Have a small portion of
tiny
Texas,
portion
please.
of Texas, please. Yes, I would like the red sauce, of course.
Well, Lars, I do hope you have a fantastic Independence Day, regardless of what you're doing, whether or not you're cycling halfway to Bristol or just.
You're right. If I left Saturday morning, I could make it by Independence Day.
You could. And what better way to represent Independence Day than cycling halfway to Bristol? I can't think of anything.
That's, in fact, what they were trying to do, and people tried to stop them, so they said, fuck off, we'll just leave, and we'll go on the other side of the ocean.
Yep.
Just want to go to fucking Bristol.
They must have named the place Bristol over there. There must be an American Bristol.
Yeah. Yeah, there's definitely some Bristols.
They'll go to that one then.
There was a... Oh, yeah, so... I'm from, I know we were just about to sign off, but I'll tell you one more little story, which is, I'm from Wisconsin originally, which most people know very, very little about. Mm-hmm. And so one of the things I like to do now is that since I left there when I was 18, and I've lived outside of there longer than I have lived there, is I like to try and find the fun or kooky or weird Americana stuff that I can go and check out in my home state. And I randomly found an article about 3 places in Wisconsin that claim to be the UFO capital of Wisconsin.
Oh,
which is quite niche. It's like,
Are they competing against each other?
I mean, for everybody who doesn't know, nobody cares except for them, I think. So maybe they're competing with themselves, which is maybe how it should be, right? We should try and better ourselves. But the one place that I might be able to go, because it's actually sort of on the way to my home, is in a place called Dundee.
Oh,
yeah. And then I looked at it and I was like, I remember Dundee as a name growing up and having no association. And now I look at it and go, why is there a fucking Dundee in Wisconsin?
That is pretty random, isn't it? That is pretty random.
Nobody that I would be surprised if I met someone there and they were like, oh yeah, no, I know it's a Scottish.
Yeah, no one would know. No, everyone would think so. People might think it's Australian.
It has that feel.
Because of Crocodile Dundee. Maybe people have that association.
In fact, is there a Dundee, Australia?
Probably.
There might be because of that weird history as well.
Jeez. Is there a cake? Like, do these other Dundees have their own cakes?
There was a Dundee cake, isn't there?
Mm-hmm.
Oh my God, I don't think I've ever...
I tell you what there is in Australia, I found out last week. There's a Sievewright Street.
Okay.
Oh, nice.
And it's spelt the way I spell it. So there's several different ways of spelling Sievewright, and it is actually the Sievewright Street.
Do you know the history of Sievewright in any?
Apparently, it originates from Brittany, and they were gonna go to Ireland, but they didn't let us in. So we went to Scotland, and that's where it originates, apparently. Very popular in
All right.
Scotland and very popular in Canada.
Because a lot of Scots ended up there.
Yes, that's right. That's right. So
As
you
well.
do see the odd Sievewright pop up every now and again. I think there's an actress called Dawn Sievewright who's doing very well in the West End, or did before COVID. And there's me, and I think that's about it.
Well, 2 ain't bad.
It's not bad, is it? Oh, and someone who worked on the Cliff Richard film The Young Ones.
Hey.
Okay, great.
He did costumes or something, I don't know. Anyway, that's the history of Sievewright.
Thank you for listening to the History of the Sievewright podcast.
There will be no episode 2. So that's about rounds it off.
But there may be Dundee cake. Sorry, yes.
Lance, is there anything
Yes,
you would
sir.
like to plug? Anything or?
What I got coming up? So the only thing I could think of was that I am hoping in the next couple of months to actually release a podcast that I made myself.
Oh.
That for a while has been sitting in limbo while I've been trying to figure out what to do with it. I won't explain that story, but it's called Dwayne Ditterman Reads, and it may have more of a title. And it is based on the fact that as an audiobook narrator, I have occasionally narrated under a pseudonym because once I read the books, I found out that they were a bit erotic and a bit shit.
Oh.
So
and you
once
found that
I did
out
that,
after you read the book.
so, right. Well, like sometimes someone's like, "Do you want to want this job?" And you're like, "Yeah, okay." And then
I
then you
see.
read the book. Like you could read the book beforehand, but that would take a while. And sometimes you're like, "Fine, I'll do it." But also that when I would record under this pseudonym, I'd look up these books, and many times they're self-published, and they are wildly popular. I mean, like they're terrible. Sometimes they're badly edited, and like they have spelling issues, or they could use more punctuation, or like things like that. And then they always have sex scenes. And you're just like, there's absolutely no reason for this. But I also was trying not to judge it harshly, because I'm like, look, like you'd find 5,000 5-star reviews and people just could not wait for the next book. And I was like, are you fucking kidding me? These are shit. But people love them, right?
Yeah.
And so I decided I wanted to like, that's not the name I use when I use a pseudonym. So I wanted to create another character who is absolutely in love with these books, thinks they are the greatest, and has started his own podcast to bring these books to the world as if they're amazing.
Nice.
And I've done a few episodes with improvisers where I have them write 3 paragraphs from their book. And then we basically, I read it out loud as this guy, because I'm a narrator who can do these things. And then we have an improvised discussion about their book where I ask them very probing questions and stuff that they don't know, and we see how it goes. Man,
that sounds fun. That sounds a lot of fun. I'm just imagining you reading a sex scene. That's all. It's just, and then the Ocado came.
Right.
Yeah. Oh, that sounds fun. So
he revealed his Ocado and targeted her labial. There was labial targeting going on. With an avocado, I think. Not very good with the vegetables, to be honest.
Many oral violations.
Many. Thank you.
Wonderful. And when do you think that's going to be released?
Well, now I've kind of dug into figuring out my release process. And I know you can just kind of put them out there, but I kind of wanted to like read through, figure it out, and see what I could do about actually promoting it. So I'm hoping in the next month or 2.
Wonderful. Well, we'll keep an eye out for that. That sounds like a lot of fun. A lot of fun.
Thank you.
Well, thank you so much for coming and doing this with us, Lance. It's been a lot of fun. Nice to catch up with you again.
Yeah, nice to catch up with you, and thank you for having me.
A pleasure. Anytime. You're welcome to come back and tell us how another week went. That's not a problem. I offer that to most people that come on, and they haven't agreed yet, but never mind.
Like, I'm willing to come back and just talk a lot of shit again. Like, it's what
Yeah.
I do. Also, I've learned about Dundee cake, and I'm looking at it, and it looks great.
I've learned that
Almond top fruitcake.
there's a Bristol in Wisconsin.
Oh, right. Okay.
Mhm. Yeah, you can
See?
cycle there.
I
Start now. You'll get there by
my goals are getting grander. See, that's what I love, though. Like, there now, UK place names have such a different meaning to me, and I see them and I go, "What the fuck?"
Yeah. Yeah.
It actually speaks to the lack of creativity of much of civilization. What should we call it? I don't know. Where'd we move from? Bristol. New Bristol? Yeah, cool.
Yeah, there's also a new London in Wisconsin.
Yeah, no, New London is close to where I'm from, so.
Mm.
But also, I'm not far from a place called Green Bay, which, is pretty
It's original,
descriptive.
isn't it? Yeah.
Right.
Say
Yeah,
what you
there's
see.
water.
Say what you see.
Look kind of green. Yeah.
Well, thank you again, Lance. I'm going to round this up. Thank
That's
you
fine.
again, Lance. And Emmy, anything to add?
No. Sorry.
Awesome. My thanks to Emmy Webber. My thanks to Lance Fuller. I've been Alex Sievewright. And that was the week that was it? Goodbye.
Goodbye.
Bye.
Alright, introducing a new range of autonomous robots that you can annoy, berate, beat the shit out of, and ultimately throw out of a moving car. 100% guaranteed not to moan or to fight back. From Arse Titties Industries.